we'll just wait and see. But that night at 8 p.m., the game was supposed to start, and they all knew that the guys were so excited to play. Like, there's no way they would miss that. So Jack Madruga's mom, Jack Madruga was the one driving the car. His mom called the police and said that this was extremely out of character for them, and there's no way they ran away. So 4 days passed, and nothing. Finally, the car was spotted 70 miles away, which is odd because they were only 50 miles away at California State in Chico. They were off of a national forest road.
So they were going the opposite direction.
They were 20 miles east of where they needed to be to head home.
Okay.
So they went east instead of south for whatever reason. Now, an important distinction comes about the men's specific mental disabilities that were diagnosed at the time. And I'm using air quotes when I say specific because in the 70s, the diagnoses for mental illnesses aren't like they are today. Gary was diagnosed with schizophrenia, and he actually spent most of his childhood in a mental state hospital, but he was like heavily medicated and under control now. Jack Hewitt, Bill, and Ted were all diagnosed with quote-unquote retardation. And then Jack Madruga, the one driving the car, was never diagnosed, as far as I could tell, officially. But everyone agreed that he was quote-unquote generally slow. That was all of their kind of mental capabilities. So schizophrenia wouldn't necessarily impair your judgment. Being generally slow wouldn't necessarily impair your judgment. And the level of retardation truly depends. But anyways, it was just important to kind of note what each of them was dealing with on like a psyche level. So Jack was the one that was generally slow and the one that was driving his car. So the car was matched to the missing Yuba County Five, which they're now known as, quickly and was investigated. There were no signs of foul play. The car hadn't broken down. The keys were gone, but they hotwired it to see if the car worked. In total working capacity, it didn't break down. The guys weren't in the car, and everything was functioning normally. In the car, there were empty milk cartons, pie, and candy wrappers, which means that the guys at 10 p.m., they had time to eat all those snacks. Well, and to get, 20 miles east. This section of the Plumas National Forest Road was covered in deep, deep snow when they found the car. The guy who found the car was actually, he slid a little bit in the snow, so he pulled over to, cool off or something. But as he was trying to push his car, it got stuck in the snow. He was pushing his car and he saw their car and he's the one who reported it, but he actually had a heart attack as he was getting his car out of the snow, and somebody else passed by and like saw him having a heart attack and like saved his life, but they're the ones who discovered the car. Yeah, it's a whole separate story.
That's crazy.
So the men were known to be afraid of the dark and to dislike the outdoors. They were also known to quote-unquote deteriorate quickly in stressful situations. So because of how unusual this was, even though the car showed no signs of foul play, the police did immediately suspect foul play. They're like, something had to happen. The guys wouldn't have got out on their own to go in the dark in the snow if they all like really didn't like the dark and the snow.
Yeah.
A man named Joseph came forward saying he had seen the car. He had gotten his car stuck near there, and he said he saw a car's headlights pull up, 5 men get out of one car and get into another car and leave. That's never been corroborated, so we don't know how accurate that is.
Being followed and like forced, or holy shit, I've never heard of this.
However, this is tricky. So as far as we know, Joseph has no reason to lie, this guy who says he saw that. However, forensics say that the mercury had spun out. And this guy says that 2 cars pulled up together and
they were in a Mercury?
They were in the Mercury.
Okay.
Joseph also said, that's the guy who had the heart attack. So this is actually the guy who had the heart attack. So he said, yeah, but also I was half conscious, not lucid, hallucinating, and in deep pain. So he also told them, I don't know how reliable I am. It turns out I was legitimately having a heart attack.
Yeah.
The search for the men could not go on after the car was found because a severe blizzard passed through, and it was just, some places were only accessible by horseback. Like, they just couldn't do it physically. So finally, 4 months later, the snow melt. That's how long it took. And clues began to appear that had spent the spring frozen in the winter snow, and police could start investigating. In June, a group of motorcyclists stopped by a trailer that was in tolerable weather condition, and it was maintained by the Forest Service. One of the bikers saw that the window was violently broken, and so they tried to open the door, but it was locked from like a key or whatever. And so they peeked in the window, and they could smell like a terrible smell, and they saw a man lying in a bed inside the trailer. So they called 911, and the man that was lying in the trailer was frozen to death. He was lying on a bed inside the 60-foot trailer, so 60 feet. The 60-foot trailer had a fireplace that had not been used. It had enough food to feed 5 people for 3 years that had not been touched, and it had a lot of it had oil, and it had stuff to burn for the fireplace.
So anything you needed.
Yeah. So the man was frozen, lying on a bed inside the 60-foot trailer. He was decomposing. He had severe gangrene, and frostbite. 8 sheets were over him as blankets, and his shoes had been taken off and were not in the trailer. His wallet, a gold necklace, and a nickel ring were on the bedside table, and the ring was engraved with his name, Ted.
Aww.
So it was Ted from the car. Ted was a big guy. He was 5'11", 200 pounds. Not huge, but he's a big guy. Mm-hmm. When he was found, he was 80 pounds. Which
Holy
means
shit.
he hadn't eaten for a while. Ted also kept a really clean shave, but the growth of his beard showed that he had been alive anywhere from 8 to 13 weeks after the basketball game. So he had like a full beard. What's odd, which all of this is odd, is that I already said this part, so I'll get rid of that. But what's odd is there was everything you would need in the trailer. Yeah. But he obviously died of, like, cold and starvation and stuff like that. So they could have fed all 5 of the men, all the food that was in there. It was like a stock area for the National Service. Ted eventually died of hypothermia and starvation, was what it was. So the trailer was locked, so it was clear that Ted had entered through the window, had broken the window to enter. Some cans of food had been eaten, but only 12. Soon after, Jack M. and Bill were found 11 miles from the abandoned car. So the trailer's 19 miles from the car. These 2 bodies were found 11 miles from the car, but they were found outside. Jack Madruga was found lying face up on the edge of a stream, and Bill was only bones, and he was scattered in a 50-foot area from animals. Then Jack Hewitt's body was found only a mile from the trailer. He was also only bones and was identified by dental records, and his dad actually found him. His dad found a spine bone, and it ended up being his. So what happened? There are so many theories. Gary's body was never found, but they found his shoes inside the trailer that Ted was found in.
They've never found him.
And they've never found him. The police suspect that he died out there too, and he was scattered as well. And they assume that he would be close to the trailer since his shoes were found in the trailer and Ted's were not. So maybe he switched shoes. He tried to go find help. I don't know what happened. So there are so many theories. One big theory is that Gary had a schizophrenic episode and somehow was behind this. There's really no proof of that or indication of that other than some people have thought that. Oh, another one is that they saw something they weren't supposed to at the game. And they fled away from people and they were chased and then foul play. Another was that they got lost and went to look for help, except there were maps in the car and they all knew how to read maps, or at least Jack Madruga did. And Jack Madruga was driving. Another thought is that they got really stressed out driving in the snow and pulled over, kind of maybe slid a little bit and then stopped and freaked out and like got out of the car and tried to walk somewhere and all got lost. And then also that somebody tricked them into going with them and then they got lost on foot later. So this is unsolved. We don't know why Ted lived for so long in the trailer, but used there were 12 cans of food eaten, but other than that, he used none of the facilities that were offered.
That makes it seem like someone could have been holding him.
And then dumped his body in there.
Yeah.
But then he died of hypothermia and starvation. So where would they have kept him and just let him? And his beard was long.
Yeah.
And then the other guys were eaten by animals post mortem. So it was hard to tell their cause of death because there wasn't you couldn't see their bodies.
Yeah.
So we don't know if they had beards, like if they were somewhere, or if they died immediately and then Ted lived a long time. We don't actually know if Gary died, but he's never been heard from since. So that's the Yuba County Five.
That's just so mysterious.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, that's super weird. I don't even know what my theory is.
I don't know either. Because why would his shoes be in there? Oh, and then one thing, in the trailer, they found a silver watch that belonged to none of the 5 men, that the moms didn't recognize it. Now, they still could have, belonged to one of them, because, someone you live with might not recognize something you own.
Yeah.
Or it belonged to a 6th person, or it was in the trailer when they got there and someone left it. That's the only thing that was, weird.
Yeah, that's really, really weird.
Yeah. Out in the snow.
Oh, man. Yeah, I kind of like your obscure themes. They make us, dig for cases
it's fun.
It is fun.
I guess, as Caitlin eye rolls.
That's crazy. That was good.
Thank you.
I love hate stuff like that because my brain is like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah.
And I can't figure it out.
And I think about that a lot, that story, since I researched it. It's I just can't put together what could have happened.
Yeah.
Why were they so far apart from each other?
That's what's really weird. The whole thing is incredibly weird.
And why would they go the wrong way when they knew the way home? And the weather was bad.
Yeah.
Somebody must have said something to them and been like, come meet us here.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Because maybe they were gullible. I don't know. Yeah. But anyway.
That's crazy. Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah. I like that.
Thank you. We hope you liked it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we hope you liked the snow theme.
If you didn't, too bad.
Too bad. Yep.
Too bad, so sad. So
What
at
is it?
Friendsgiving, it definitely became like a girls were in the kitchen sitting at the table being ridiculous, drinking beer. The boys were in the living room fucking listening to classical music and blah, being boring. But we sat in the kitchen drinking beer, talking about murder, laughing about the most ridiculous things.
Being kind of boyish and crass.
Yeah, being super crass, talking about just a bunch of crazy stuff. And then we look over and the boys are like sipping bourbon and listening to classical music.
And we're like laughing hysterically and like spilling beer on a pumpkin pie.
Oh, I did that. I spilled my beer on a pumpkin pie and we were like talking about butts and just like, yeah. So it was funny.
We switched roles, like stereotypical roles. We were being the total like dudes.
So
Each
sweet.
of us spilled a drink at one point.
We did.
And I liked that. We
I
all
spilled
had
my-
our moment.
In a pumpkin pie, but no big deal.
Yeah, and half a beer and an entire pumpkin pie.
It was a blast though. We had a ton of good food.
Oh, it was great.
Lots of laughs.
Yeah, good beer, good drinks.
Yeah,
It
good
was a lot of
friends.
fun.
It was good. It was a
Yeah.
lot of fun.
Okay, do you have a joke for us?
Yes. Hey, Sarah. People act like the North and South Pole are, like, exactly the same, but really, there's a whole world of difference between them.
I like that one. That's clever. So, what does the gingerbread man use to make his bed?
What?
Cookie sheets. Got those Christmas jokes for you. Do you have another?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who's a Christmas tree's favorite singer? Spruce Springsteen.
Aww. Spruce Springsteen. That's cute. I like that too. All right, guys. Leave a review. If you want episodes like the one with Evan and Scuttlebutt, you can join our Patreon. Actually, you can join it for as low as $1 a month, but you won't get the Evan episode. But read the things. It's at patreon.com/luminolpod. Follow us on Instagram at luminolpod.
Email us at luminolpod@gmail.com.
Essentially, luminolpod is like everything. If you need to Google us, type in luminol podcast, and things will come up. So you can find us everywhere.
Leave us a review, get a card and a sticker, and like a handmade card.
Yeah, it's
and
special.
a handwritten card.
With a joke inside. Everyone has a unique joke. You don't get the same jokes.
Oh, yeah, you all get different jokes.
Yeah. And they're not jokes we've said on the podcast that
I
most
still
of
feel
them
bad
know.
that Marie got the joke that made no fucking sense in the UK.
Oh, yeah.
Data.
We sent one, to someone in the UK, and the accent made the joke not make sense.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious.
Yeah. For us.
Yes, it was funny for us, but she's like, that's not funny.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Yeah, we hope you like this.
Alrighty, guys. Until next week, you can see us next Wednesday or Sunday for early release if you are a Patreon member.
Yeah. Bye, kids.
Bye, Illuminati.